blinked in red. In fact, I'll pull up Infowars.com in front of me to give you the actual headline. And I bet unless people make a big noise about this, there won't be an investigation. You know why? Because I believe my source. I know about the reactors. I know about others doing this. I know about all the weird activity and how it's fenced in over there, but the other preserves aren't. This is exactly how government operates. In fact, the word is Bergstrom's got nuclear garbage. It used to be the big shack base. You know, at all these plants from Japan to Europe to the United States, they store the rods now on top of the reactors. That's what happened to Fukushima. Remember what happened when the radiation levels went up and the tuna came in radioactive? They raised some isotopes to say they were safe at 100,000 times what they said they previously were. Others 25 times, 250 times. Just, oh, you know what? Radiation's up in the United States, blowing over from something much bigger than Chernobyl. Everything's fine because we raise the level. We say it's safe for the troops to use DU. Wasn't until 1990. We say it is. Yeah, there's Kurt Nemo's article. He actually had a blurb on it last week, but there it is, a new article out. Obama plans attack on First Amendment if reelected. Amazing story. And then under that, breaking massive nuclear secrets uncovered in Austin, Texas. And, you know, I've got an old Geiger counter, and that I need to get like more like a spectrometer because it's way back there under the concrete up in those caves that go for miles. But, I mean, I'm going to go out there. I'm warning the system. I'm coming. And I'm getting into those caves. And I'm gonna get in there. I mean, I know that they might send a hit team after me. By the way, they've killed a lot of researchers that look into hidden nuke dumps. We're risking our life here, so pray for us. We need other people to look into what's reportedly over at Redbud. I hope his great-grandfather was mistaken, but this needs to be investigated right now. We'll be back. Okay, coming up in the next segment, we're going to air part of a 19-minute news briefing that we first aired on the InfoWars Nightly News last night, breaking massive nuclear secret uncovered in Austin, Texas. And we've dug up the Austin American-Statesman, the Associated Press, admitting that there was a nuclear reactor under UT and it's still there. But you don't find articles past the 80s. I'm actually getting emails from people saying there was never a reactor under UT, and people deny on the street that there's even a smaller and then a larger research reactor at the J.J. Pickle facility. That's on the UT website. I mean, it's just amazing that people can't even admit that's real. And then we have our source. By the way, there were cases, what they call it the Silent Spring and other systems where, you know, the fish from Austin all the way to the Gulf of Mexico got killed decades ago when something got released into it. Okay? And this all started 3 days ago when KXAN reported on some type of cyclotron Army weapon accelerator railgun system out of a UT research facility outside Austin, blew up and shot shrapnel into a car going down a country road, hundreds and hundreds of yards. Well, we looked at the property. The research facility looks like it's a half mile off the road. It was an explosion, but the Army says it's contained, okay? I live here. My family's from here on my mother's side. There's underground bases. There's underground bases at Bergstrom. My dad was taking physics at UT in the late 60s. He went and saw the nuclear reactor. I have the Austin American-Statesman. People can't even agree. That's maybe 3 Mile Island doesn't exist. Maybe Fukushima doesn't exist. The big issue is one of our crew members piped up and said, oh, yeah, my great-grandfather was the head of UT facilities, and he said that they went with transportation and put it in these caves owned by the state over by the dam. We went over there, and we're investigating it. That's what's really big, but who knows? Maybe I've got to get people to, maybe there's not a UT tower. Maybe there's no UT Longhorns. Maybe I don't exist. Maybe George Washington doesn't exist. I still go on shows, and they go, oh, the drones are going to get us. There's going to be blimps. And I'm like, yeah, I told you 15 years ago. I told you that the executive branch is moving to just doing everything in fiat. Just, oh, we just feel like it. It's getting really, really, really crazy. I mean, look at this. U.S. and multinational military forces train in South Dakota's Black Hills. The Rapid City Journal reports it's urban warfare training, and I've been to countless of these drills where foreign troops trained to take on the American people. It's called Golden Coyote Training, and they're recreating the stress of combat. And a mixture of civilian, tourist, and wildlife population soldiers encounter in war theaters such as Iraq and Afghanistan. They always say that, but if you actually read NLE-09 and the other documents, and, well, they now admit they say they'll use foreign troops to, quote, deal with American terrorists. But then when it's announced in the local paper, it's, oh, we're just training to take on Al-Qaeda. Same folks they use to go into Syria and Libya. Pretty amazing. Oh, but look right here. Oh, they would never do this. Letting women enroll in Army Ranger School is a terrible idea, and they're already saying they're going to lower the standards. You won't have to carry a 40 or 60-pound pack on a hump over 40 miles. You don't have to, no, women. And again, this is so they can make women slaves and draft them later. Won't matter. Soon it's all going to be robots, drones in the sky, UGVs on the ground. But here it is, the total social engineering of everything. Retired platoon sergeant, letting women enroll in Army Ranger School is a terrible idea. No, it's not. Not if you want to totally screw up the military ahead of making it all go drone and all go robot. The system doesn't want manhood anymore. That's why they put bisphenol A in the products. By the way, I remember 4 years ago, they had the big melamine scare, and they executed a bunch of Chinese factory heads, and thousands of people died. We had a bunch of deaths here, but when your kid, when your year-old comes in and dies of kidney failure and liver failure, they just, say, oh, an infection. And that's in the news where they're now announcing that there is mercury in the products out of China, the baby formula. Hey, but so what? I mean, mercury... by the way, that's AFP, French news agency. Well, that's okay. I mean, hell, mercury's good for you. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
We're on the march.
By the way, our main radio IT engineer, one of his friends of quite a while, called him on his cell phone during just the last break, and I talked to him. So we're going to bring him on right now. We've got a whistleblower email. It's whistleblowers@infowars.com. Whistleblowers@infowars.com. About nuclear waste dumps, biological, whatever the case is in your area, because they've built 36 of these in the last decade that have level 4 weapons in them in level 2 containment. That's mainstream news. They're building or have built or in the process of another 200. We had a railgun cyclotron blow up 4 days ago. It was in the news 3 days ago that the Department of Defense runs with DARPA at a UT facility outside Austin. Out by Bastrop, because I know 2 different people that work in it, and I know somebody who remotely, when he was here, he's at another university, even more advanced than UT, there's only one other, but who punched up and showed me the giant facilities full of monkeys and apes, like something out of a horror movie. And that's going on. People are worried about that because they do mess with Ebola, airborne, mouse pox, monkey pox. I mean, stuff that, some of this stuff's so deadly, it kills 97 to 98% of the mammals it comes in contact with. Whatever you engineer it for, rabbits, mice, humans, pigs. This is what we're dealing with. And it's just everywhere. But we're told Al-Qaeda is so scary, better chance of dying from a honeybee sting, then we need to give up all of our rights. So I'm going to get to part of this report that's up at Infowars.com, but I want to air it here for the radio audience. You can see the video at Infowars.com if you're a radio listener and want to see the actual documents. And Aaron Dykes was up here till late last night. He's coming in right now to add a bunch of links to the page that has the video, because we're getting emails and calls saying there is no old reactor under UT, even though I've got the Associated Press from the 1980s on it, even though my dad went in there as a physics student and was able to, see it and watch some experiments. He wasn't high level, so he was only able to watch some things. Even though UT admits they've got a little reactor and a big reactor at the J.J. Pickle Center, people go, there's no reactor in Austin because there hasn't been articles on it since the 80s. They just say they do not exist. They do not exist. This is the incredible denial. We'll just call this fella Mac. He's willing to use his whole name, but He's just, let's just say he's worked in the engineering and maintenance. He's fired one of the railguns. Mac, it's on record that this is going on. We don't know about the dumping down on Redbud Trail, even though I believe that, you know, his great-grandfather was being accurate. He was the head of, you know, all of the major facilities there. Our source, Chris Odom. But briefly, before I get to this report, tell folks what you've witnessed working at the University of Texas with reactors, rail guns, other secret stuff.
Yeah, I was the head maintenance guy for the University of Texas there, and I had to go into these different buildings and do maintenance and stuff on them. And one of the buildings I had to go on to, and you can see it, the building clearly right there at Breaker and Barnett. It's that building right there on the corner. That's where the reactor is at inside there. You know, so we'd have to go in there and do maintenance and stuff, and we'd have to wear pins just to see if we got contaminated and how much we were contaminated after we were in there working on it. So it's there, and that was in the mid-'90s when I worked there. So and then the rail gun, you can see that building clearly too from Breaker Lane or Barnett Road. It's that big blue metal building that sticks up there. They got the rail gun in there. They shoot down into a hole with.
Well, they've got another one outside Austin. In fact, where was that on the map, guys? The exact location of that facility? I mean, it was in KXAN that blew up 4 days ago. Yeah, that's out in Leander. And I mean, that hit a car. It looks like close to half a mile away and blew part of the building up. I mean, my point is we're just sitting on top of a giant complex of tunnels and things.
Yeah, and then there's all kinds of research going on there, just, you know, different kind. But, you know, at the time it was pretty neat. I got to see, you know, with my own eyes what goes on inside that thing and get to see the rail gun fire off. Got to see the hand model that they were working on. You know, just at that point, it was, you know, a whole room full of batteries just to make the thing work. So.
By the way, sir, did they tell you that was classified, that Department of Defense handheld railgun?
No.
By the way, that's highly classified. In fact, it looks just like the one I was told by the military that you see Schwarzenegger in a racer. Yeah, I mean, they've got, wow. So you've actually seen, they actually showed you the handheld railgun model.
Yes. Yeah, it didn't quite look like the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger had. The one they have, you know, of course, is a prototype. So, like I said, it has to have a whole room of batteries and stuff to work on. But you know how technology goes over the years. They know how to reduce the battery size and get more power out of it.
Incredible. Anything else you saw while doing maintenance for the University of Texas at Austin?
No, I've seen a bunch of stuff at you know, where they talk about million-year-old bones and stuff. So. But, you know, I don't believe anything's a million years old. God created everything, and that's the way I believe it. So.
Well, they also create a fake debate between science to make Christians look dumb. So then the preachers say one thing, which really isn't even really in the Bible, and then it becomes a huge debate. That's why all these globalists are coming out and genetic engineers are coming out and actually becoming religious, because now they've looked at it and they say there's no way. The majority of them now. I mean that's what Prometheus is all about. They're saying, okay, something made us, but it must be Martians. You know, it must be folks from Clan Dathu. Because it certainly, you know, wasn't the guy in the sky. You know, those people are wrong, but yeah, Martians made us, because you look at the DNA, you look at all of it, and it's totally freaking the scientist out. It's clearly been designed.
Yeah, and I was there when they were pulling a joke on a new student that was coming in to do some research on testing the bones and see how many million years old it was, and they were just joking.
Unfortunately, sir, your cell phone's breaking up. Can you hear me now, Mac? We lost him. You know, if he's willing to come in studio someday, we ought to get him in here with us. Okay, thank you, Mac. We'll have to get him back on. I don't think that was a conspiracy, probably just how bad cell phones are nowadays. Of course, those radiate your brain as well. Let's go ahead and go to part of this news piece. The whole thing's up on Infowars.com. And again, it's not just Austin, Texas. The Soviets would just throw old reactors in the ocean. I mean, in fact, there's a couple nukes from U.S.